All right, so the LILJ is joined here this afternoon by class of 2026 defenseman Kip Zacharia out of Manhasset, also plays for Express Channy. Kip, how's it going here this afternoon?
Great, Ellis. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Kip, you are, of course, one of the top 2026 prospects on the island, getting ready to be contacted by a ton of college coaches. And you've been a household name on the island now for the last few years, just making a ton of noise, showcasing your game as one of the top defensemen on the island and playing for such a storied program coming out of Manhasset, being a member of their varsity team for the last 3 years now, being a starter for the last couple years and winning a couple state championships already, with still a couple more years for you to go on varsity. But Kip, just kind of talk about your experience being on such a storied varsity program like Manhasset the last few years, really just bursting onto the scene again as one of the top players on the island. But just talk about your experience on Manhasset and what it's meant for you being on such a household program in the country.
Yeah, I'm obviously honored to have been able to get the chance to play in Manhasset for the past 3 years because we've been really, really good. And, just playing with like the 23 class and the 22 class, even though I only got a partial season with the 22 class because I got pulled up for playoffs in eighth grade, it's really just elevated my game and made me so much better.
Yeah, and they're just such an elite program, of course, winning a few state championships, and we're definitely looking forward to seeing what you do in Manhasset the next couple years here. But now, just kind of like getting into the recruiting aspect for you, and like just having such a big spring and a big summer, being seen by a ton of college coaches at so many different events. Just kind of talk about how you feel you played like throughout the spring and into the summer, just like how do you feel that your summer went overall for you, knowing that it's such an important summer for you?
Yeah, so the summer was definitely nerve wracking, and even the spring was. But I'd say like both spring and summer with Manhasset and Express, they both went really well for myself individually and for both teams. With Manhasset, we had so many obstacles to overcome this year with injuries and everything, but we overcame them. Couldn't get a county championship, but we're so close, even with half of our team being hurt. And with Express, we were just dominant for the whole summer. And I think all of our guys are going to go to great places.
Now you talk about it like being a little nerve-wracking at first. Of course, understandably so. It's different, of course, playing in front of college coaches now. Like they're all eyes are on yourself and your class as a whole. But what was kind of like the mindset going into the summer, and like anything that you kind of did to kind of like shake those nerves? Like how'd you end up having such a successful summer? Like just kind of shaking those nerves off at first.
Yeah, so it definitely took some time to get used to playing in front of all the coaches because you're not used to seeing like so many eyes on you while you're playing, and especially from like really great schools that you would like to see yourself at. So I really just like set an expectation to play at a high level consistently, and I feel like I met those expectations. And just getting the first couple of games were a little harder than I'd expect, but once I got through them, I was rolling and everything was going good.
I think it's really interesting, like being like just honest and forthright, just about it being a little nerve-wracking at first. And like I think one of the things that players should kind of realize is like it's okay to have nerves. I feel like that's got to be normal because of course it's so different than any other summer. Like all the college coaches that are going to be on site at different tournaments and events. So like definitely interesting and really appreciate just like you being forthright just about it being nervous at first. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and if anything it's kind of you feel like it's a little normal, like you got to only be human like to have nerves in you a little bit. But just like kind of talking about some of the events that you took part in this summer, whether that was club events, club tournaments, playing for Express Channy, or individual showcases, like what were some of the events that you were at this summer?
So my Express team had 5 tournaments throughout the summer, and it was the Adrenaline Platinum Cup, Crab Feast, NAL, NLF, and we closed out with the Long Island Summer Showdown. And individually, I went to Maverick Showtime, NLF Elite 120, Nike National, and the Under Armour All America Games, which at Nike National and Under Armour, like all a bunch of my Manhasset friends and teammates, and my like most of my Express team played on those teams. So it was fun.
Nice. Do you feel like there's any difference in like how you approach going into team oriented events like tournaments as opposed to individual showcases?
Well, going into like individual showcases, I feel like it's a lot harder to play because you're playing with like a new team and you don't really play as well as like you do with your team that you're used to playing with. You don't have the chemistry. So yeah, I definitely say it's a lot harder to play at showcases than with your team.
Now, like going back to just like your expectations, like you talked a little bit about that, and like of course it was so different going into this summer as opposed to any other summer. But just like how do you think you kind of just manage those expectations? Just like your thoughts going into the summer and like now the summer having concluded and you wrapping up being at all these events and all these showcases.
I think I mean I'd say I did really well, like I said, and I think I played at a really high level, which is what I set the goal to be at. And hopefully it pays off September 1st.
Nice. Now get into September 1st, and then once that time comes, like your phone is going to be ringing off the hook, hearing from so many high-level D1 schools and D1 coaches. And like I'm sure you'll have your schedule laid out just in terms of visits and whatnot, the schools where there's mutual interest. But like without just getting into specific schools, when it comes to just taking visits to different schools, what are some of the things that you'll be looking for that would make a school appealing to you? Like, what are some of the things that you'll be hoping to see or maybe hoping to hear from coaches as you go on visits?
Yeah. So I'm looking for a great school with a great lacrosse program, and actually, like to me, the coaches are a big factor because I would also like want to be able to build a relationship with them and have a strong bond, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when it comes to like maybe conferences or just like locations, any ideas as to maybe geographically where you want to be at, or are you kind of like open-minded and really open to anything?
Yeah, I'm really just leaving all options open at right now, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like the best approach. Of course, everybody's different. Some people they have their eyes set on one school, and if there's mutual interest, then it's a done deal, and that's totally cool. But I think it's definitely the best approach is to kind of leave all options open. And sometimes you never know because sometimes you may have your mind set on some schools like going into the summer, and once the summer's over then you hear from certain schools that may not have been on your radar, but you go on those visits, you hear out the coaches, and then like things can change. So you just never really know. But
Yeah.
like just in terms of the timeline for when you would ideally want to be committed, is there any ideal timeline for you, or are you just kind of feeling out the process? I feel like when you kind of leave all options open, like you said, it might be the same thing with the timeline, or is there any ideal time frame as to when you'd want to commit?
Yeah, like as you said, I think that all depends on what opportunities I have. I can't really, I'm not gonna, I mean, I'd like to get off the board early, but I mean, the process takes a while and I'm gonna leave all options open.
Nice. Well, Kip, we're definitely excited for you and really looking forward to see what that school will end up being for you whenever that time comes that you do commit. And it's just been great getting a chance to cover you the last couple years, especially on the varsity circuit for Manhasset. And really looking forward to seeing you again the next couple years here in your junior and senior year. And really looking forward again to seeing what that school ends up being for you and where you'll be playing at the next four. But Kip, just want to thank you again for the time. It's been really appreciated, and
Yeah,
just
of
wish you the
course.
best of luck in the days and weeks ahead as you get ready for September.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.